Hello, everyone, and welcome to Big Sam's Long Balls podcast with me, Dan. As I'm recording currently live inside Anfield, apparently, if only. In today's video, guys, I'm going to be talking about the one and only Darwin Nunez for Liverpool, who apparently has already been labelled a flop by Spanish media outlet. I can't even remember the name of the newspaper now or the article. It was so ridiculous, but let's talk about that in this video. Is Darwin Nunez a flop already? Well, he's played a grand total of maybe two, possibly three games at most so far this season in a team that is not playing proper football. Let's be perfectly honest, a team that is ravaged by injury so far. Piss poor performances, and we're going to dig out the new boy because apparently he costs 100 million. That's another thing that irks me about this whole Darwin Nunez transfer thing. He doesn't cost 100 million. We paid just over 60 million for him, and it goes up to 85 million with add-ons. Just a little bit nippity there, but annoying when everything gets labelled 100 million pound flop. It didn't cost 100 million. Anyway, stupidity. Welcome, guys, to Big Sam's Long Balls podcast with me, Dan. Like I said, we're going to be talking about Darwin Nunez. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below because this must be so frustrating, I think, for a lot of you guys as Liverpool fans like me, because we all want to see the best of this guy. I personally wanted to see an out-and-out proper striker at this football club for years, really. Love Bobby Firmino, but he is that false nine. He's not that consistent, clinical goal scorer. He's a wonderful footballer, don't get me wrong. And he's a legend in the eyes of all of us as Liverpool fans. But we wanted that cutting edge. Diogo Jota came in as a bit of a surprise package 2 seasons ago, or two and a bit seasons ago now. Really hit the ground running. A proper goal scorer, can play through the middle, can play on that left-hand side. Unfortunately, he is a little bit injury prone, at times, Diogo, which is the only thing that really goes against him. So the addition of Darwin Nunez, I think, was brilliant. I was so excited in the summer to bring him in. Obviously, playing against Benfica last year in the Champions League quarterfinals. Yeah, it was the quarterfinals that we played them. He destroyed us home and away. He was an absolute monster. And we can talk about Van Dijk and his lack of form at times if you want. But last season, he was, in my opinion, he was the best centre back in world football. No one really caused him that many problems. Darwin Nunez caused him problems in those two games, or certainly in the game away from home. He's an absolute monster of a player. It's going to take time. He's still very, very young. I know, obviously, Haaland is outperforming him at this moment in time, and Haaland is a couple of years younger. But look, the thing is, Haaland is a freak of nature. Let's be perfectly honest. He's a goal-scoring monster. He hasn't needed time to adapt, and to be fair, he's in a better team. Man City do have better, more creative players than what Liverpool have at this moment in time. Much, much more creative players than what Liverpool have at this moment of time. So Darwin Nunez, we all knew, just watching, if you'd only watched really those two games against Liverpool last season, you would probably be able to gauge very quickly that, yes, he's a goal scorer, yes, he's a threat, he's a menace in the box, but equally, he's very, very raw. His first touch at times is frustrating. Sometimes he can give the ball away. So the talent is there. There's an awful lot of talent. And I think if Jurgen Klopp and Pep Linders and all of these coaches can unlock that talent, and I do believe that we will, a little bit of time. It is frustrating at the moment, but give it time. I think they will. If they can, I do think we've got one of the best strikers in world football. The attributes that he has, he's 6'3". He's one of the quickest players in world football. He knows where the back of the net is. He's an absolute monster. It's going to take a little bit of time. And for these articles to come out and call him a flop and call him it's Jurgen Klopp has apparently said, because these are leaks, according to this article, leaks from inside Liverpool, that Jurgen Klopp has said this is the biggest mistake of his career, signing Darwin Nunez. It's absolute drivel. It's absolute drivel to say the very least. It's nonsensical, and people might criticize Jurgen Klopp at this current moment in time, tactically and all of this. We're in a bad place, but you look at Liverpool's history or recent history under Jurgen Klopp of transfers and the success that we've had. Obviously, Van Dijk, Alisson, Andy Robertson, Fabinho, Mo Salah, Sadio Mane, Roberto Firmino, Diogo Jota, Luis Diaz, so on and so on and so on. Most players that we've signed have been brilliant. I think you can look at a couple of others that haven't been: Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain and Naby Keita. But to be honest, injuries. I think if both of those players were fit, certainly Naby Keita, he goes into our starting 11 probably almost week in, week out for me. So we're picking the right players. We're picking the most talented players that we can get. So the recruitment, I think, has been fantastic. I would like to see a little bit more, if only, FSG would allow us to spend a little bit more money. So the recruitment from Liverpool has been fantastic. So for our scouts and for Jurgen Klopp to give give the say so to go and get Darwin Nunez, especially for quite a lot of money, for Liverpool, we don't tend to spend that amount on one player unless we're very, very convinced, i.e. a Virgil van Dijk or an Alisson Becker. Liverpool do not tend to spend that amount of money on one player unless they are really, really sure that this person, that this person has world-class capabilities and can transform this team. I do believe that Darwin Nunez is that player. He certainly can be that player. But look, again, it's going to take time. I did mention in my previous video that I made earlier on when talking about Manchester City, and I've made them favourites, guys. I've made them favourites to win the Champions League. It felt wrong, but you have to look at Haaland, and he's just an absolute monster, isn't he? Unfortunately, but I compared Darwin Nunez just a little bit in that video. It's worth checking out, by the way. And I sort of said that Haaland is that type of player where all of the build-up doesn't bother him. He's not interested. If he touches the ball 2 or 3 times a game, he doesn't care, because if those touches means that they're going into the back of the net, he's done his job. So he's an out-and-out goal scorer. He'll be nicknamed a tap-in merchant. I hate shit like that, when you hear sort of rubbish like, oh, he's a tap-in merchant or he's a penalty merchant, whatever. He's a goal scorer. And if Erling Haaland scores over 40 goals this season and the majority of them are tap-ins, do you think Manchester City fans, do you think Pep Guardiola, do you think his teammates, do you think Haaland himself, do you think anyone's going to care? No, they're not. Likewise, if Darwin Nunez manages to score 20 or 25 goals, would be nice this season. Am I going to care how they come about? Do I want 25 screamers or do I want 25 tap-ins? To be honest, I probably prefer 25 tap-ins because it just shows that we've gone and we bought a clinical striker, someone who's going to get in the penalty box. When I made that little bit of a comparison in my last video, I described Darwin Nunez as all or nothing. And that's how I feel about him. Watching him in the Palace game, I think that's why he got very frustrated. Not that you can excuse the headbutt because it was ludicrous. But you can see the frustration building. Something like that I don't think happens to Erling Haaland because he doesn't get caught up in all of that stuff. But Nunez wants to get involved in the build-up. I think Jurgen Klopp would want all of his players really to get involved in the build-up. And having watched him at Benfica a number of times, he drifts out wide. He will drop deep. He does like to press. He loves tracking back. There's so many things about him that are very, very likable. And he's got incredible pace and he wants to run in behind, but he's all or nothing. He doesn't rest, he doesn't stop. He's sort of 100 mile an hour from the get-go, and that can be at times brilliant, at other times it can be frustrating because you just want him just to do the basics, and i.e. copy a little bit of an Erling Haaland from time to time. But I do think it will click eventually, and I'm a little bit confident, maybe a little bit confident that it might happen tonight. Obviously no football the weekend, last weekend, no football next weekend, so for other things we won't go into, but it's an option, so we're all excited to be able to watch our teams if we're able to watch our teams in the Champions League this week. And obviously as a Liverpool fan, anytime I get to watch Liverpool, I absolutely love it. I'm sure you guys feel the same. However, I'm a little bit nervous about tonight, with the form that we're in and with the performance that we put in against Napoli. It was incredibly worrying. And Ajax, for me, I think they're one of the strongest teams out there at this moment in time. I think they're a team that often get overlooked, probably a team that gets sort of described or looked at as like a team that's sort of like developmental, what I mean, where they've got sort of brilliant young players, their scouting department's fantastic, they can coach on the best players in world football, and then they sell these players on for a profit. Martinez and Antony being perfect examples this summer of the type of football club that Ajax are. So Ajax will be a team that I think will be looking to get away from that reputation. They'll want to go and win some trophies this season, some big trophies outside of Holland. And I don't see why this team can't look at themselves as going quite far into Europe, because right now they must be coming to Anfield very, very confident that they are going to outplay this Liverpool team. If Liverpool play anywhere near the way that we played last week against Napoli, we are getting dicked tonight, absolutely humiliated. So Ajax will come to Anfield tonight. They'll play open, they'll play expansive football. they will cause us problems defensively. So defensively and in midfield, we're going to have to be on it, winning those second balls, the second phase play and sort of those counter press opportunities, and really sort of making the most of those transitions, which we didn't do against Napoli. Obviously, it means that defensively we're going to have to be better than we have been this season. It's not really saying a lot, to be perfectly honest, but equally. It means that we might be given an opportunity going forward. Ajax, I can't imagine. Look, Ajax aren't going to be reckless, not going to be stupid. They won't come to Anfield and just present their goal for us like we tend to do when we go away from, well, if we play away or if we play at Anfield, to be perfectly honest. So Ajax won't be stupid, but they will play more open. They will play more expansive football than probably 90% of the teams that we come up against. I'm not expecting a low block tonight. I'm not expecting that double-decker bus. So like I said, defensively and in midfield, we're going to have to be really, really on it. The counter-pressing, for example, is going to have to be top-notch. But if we can get all of those things right, the midfield in particular, if we can get that right formation, the right combination, the right aggression, intensity, there will be counter-pressing opportunities, I'm sure, tonight against this Ajax team, because they will come to Anfield and they will look to get on the front foot and play their style of football. And as good as it is, and as good of a team that Ajax are, and they are, I think, a fantastic team. Alfred Schroeder right now has taken over from Ten Hag, and he's doing, he's sort of doing a better job, seemingly at this moment in time. It's only been a couple of games, obviously, so. But they've had their best start, I think, in over 20 odd years. So we're going to be up against a very, very confident team in Ajax. But the reason why I'm talking about Ajax tonight and in the Darwin Nunez video is obviously the game tonight. It is an opportunity for Liverpool to win, hopefully, and a big opportunity for Darwin Nunez tonight to, if he starts, and I really, really hope he does start. There's some strong rumours that Jurgen Klopp is going to start Bobby Firmino again. Look, we all love Firmino. He's a top player. And to be fair, he's had a decent start to this season. But if Ajax do play slightly more open football, we want to be getting those crossfield balls. We want to be hitting them on the counter-attack, those counter-pressing opportunities, players with pace. Darwin Nunez is one of the quickest players in world football. Diogo Jota, he can be a monster in front of goal. I think, look, if Bobby Firmino comes in, we win the game and he drops a 9 or 10 out of 10 performance, then, all credit to him. But I think this could be an opportunity for Darwin Nunez tonight to really hopefully have a little bit of extra space, more space than you would have had against the likes of Palace and the likes of Fulham and the likes of Everton as well. So, an opportunity for him tonight to come into this team, whether he starts or whether he comes off from the bench, maybe coming off from the bench actually might suit him more. I don't know. I personally would like to see him start as many games as humanly possible. Get him up to speed with the rest of the players, especially with Diaz and Salah. Really form a strong partnership as possible between those three players. But if he does play tonight, hopefully the goal. Hopefully, he can score some goals tonight. I feel like Darwin Nunez is that type of player that that saying, when you're waiting for a bus and two come along at once. I feel if Darwin Nunez scores tonight, he could score 3 or 4. I just get that feeling a little bit like in preseason. Was it Salzburg or Leipzig? I want to say Salzburg. He comes on into the second half. He bags 4 goals. Look, it's only preseason. And so, it is what it is. But he's that type of player, I think, maybe more coming off the bench potentially. But he nearly did it against Fulham as well. We were awful against Fulham. He comes on and forget the goal straight away, but he comes on, things start to change. He's causing havoc in that penalty area, just that presence, that pace. Suddenly Fulham didn't quite know how to deal with him. He has a chance really, really early on when coming in. He doesn't actually shoot. He should shoot. He passes it instead and, wastes a chance, but he could have scored then. He has a very, very similar opportunity just afterwards. A fantastic save. I think a save is made by the Fulham goalkeeper. Then he scores. So, he could have bagged a hat-trick against Fulham. The game against Manchester City, when he comes on, obviously he wins the penalty. He gets his goal. There were other opportunities as well, 2 or 3 other opportunities as well. So he, in that space of about a 20, 25-minute cameo, he could easily have scored 2 or 3 goals against Manchester City, against Fulham. To be fair, against Palace, I know obviously, we talk about the head bar and we talk about like a really terrible performance, but he wasn't actually that bad. Palace were cramped, in their penalty box at Anfield. And Darwin Nunez probably had some of the best chances in the game. At the end of the first half, he hits the post. He creates things. Things happen when he's in the penalty area, and even away at Everton, a pretty poor game overall. I thought Liverpool were average again. but that chance where the final bit of space, once in the game where he gets a bit of space, he's on the edge of the area. Fernando Torres, like, chests it down on the half volley. Fernando Torres against Blackburn all those years ago, probably the best goal I'd ever seen Fernando Torres score for us, which is saying a lot. And he nearly pulls it off in what would have been his second ever start for Liverpool. And Jordan Pickford has to make a bit of a out of this world save. And even against Napoli, there was nothing really to write home about against Napoli. But when he came on, he got a couple of shots off. He looked a bit more of a threat, whether he was out on that left or through that middle. Personally, I'd rather see him through the middle. But things happen. He's that type of player that when he's on the pitch, whether he starts or whether he comes on, things happen. So this whole narrative of Darwin Nunez being a flop is already bollocks for a guy who's only just started his Liverpool career. And to be fair, what I've seen from him, I've been impressed. And I'm not just saying that because he's a new transfer and we're excited by new transfers. Every time I've seen him, I've been more impressed than fed up or worried about him. There are aspects of his game that need to improve. Like I said, he's got the talent, but it is very, very raw. So the first touch at times isn't brilliant. Sometimes the misplaced passes are frustrating. But if you get him playing on the shoulder of any centre back in world football with a bit of space in behind, I think he's going to cause havoc. And one thing I'd like to see from Liverpool tonight and going forward is forget this obsession with trying to whip crosses to him straight away in the air. Look, he's what, 6'2", 6'3". We've seen how good he can be in the air for Benfica. We've already seen glimpses of it at Liverpool, but equally, he is a very, very talented footballer, and he's fucking rapid. So when he's on that when he plays on the shoulder of the last defender, stop trying to whip it in as a cross. Just play it. Just keep it on the floor. Let him have a foot race against someone. And I guarantee 9 times out of 10, he's beating those centre backs for pace and power. And defenders don't want to go up against him like that. They'd probably rather, face an aerial cross than an actual foot race against this guy. So hopefully Liverpool can mix it up a little bit more. I actually feel the players around Darwin Nunez have been more frustrating this season than Darwin himself. Like I said, the article was absolute nonsense. I know that a couple of other channels have done videos on this, and I just wanted to chuck my opinions into it, really, because it's drivel. It's absolute drivel, and I think we've got potentially one of the best strikers in world football on our hands. But look, he's very young, he's very raw. We do need to give him time. We need to be patient with him. But I have a feeling tonight, if he starts or even if he comes off from the bench, that he's going to punish Ajax tonight, and I think he's going to score. I think he's going to score a couple of goals. Actually, I've got a feeling. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on Darwin Nunez, guys, as Liverpool fans, as rival fans. What have you seen? Try not to troll, try and just go, oh, he's a flop, he's crap. Actually, give some positive or give some proper input, rather. If you haven't been impressed with him, explain why. And equally, if you have, what is it that you like about him? I think we've got one of the best young players, or one of the best young strikers in world football on our books. But, obviously, he does need to go out and prove it. Hopefully tonight at home, European night at Ajax, gets his first goal at Anfield, and hopefully he'll kick off his season and kick off our season, because we desperately need to win. Anyway, guys, that's the end of the video. If you enjoy the video, definitely give us a like, subscribe for more Big Sam's Long Balls footy chat. Join the family. It's a great family, and yeah, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully we win tonight, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. So thank you so much for watching.